Have you ever wondered why you keep quitting right before things start to change? Why every time you get close to breaking through, something inside you pulls you back to safety? Why you keep choosing distraction over discipline, comfort over commitment, silence over speaking up for your future? Why do we sabotage our own progress with excuses we've memorized? I'm tired, I'll start tomorrow. It's not the right time, even when we know damn well tomorrow turns into next week, and next week turns into another year wasted. This isn't about motivation, it's about the war happening inside you, the battle between who you are and who you're called to become. And you've been stuck in this invisible tug of war for too long, haven't you? Because deep down, you know you're capable of more. You felt it in the quiet moments in the guilt, after another day wasted in the ache of unrealized potential. You don't need another morning where you wake up tired from doing nothing meaningful. You need a line in the sand, a decision, because your future doesn't care how you feel. Right now, it only responds to what you do next. It doesn't reward good intentions, it rewards execution. The version of you who finishes, who thrives, who leads, who transforms, doesn't show up because you feel ready. That version shows up because you made a choice to stop being the prisoner of your feelings and start being the commander of your fate. This isn't about being fearless, it's about doing it anyway. Right now is the moment you take your power back. Not tomorrow, not when you feel motivated now, because every second you delay is another second you rehearse failure. But if you're brave enough to act while it still hurts, while it's still unclear, that's when the old you dies and the real you begins. You say you want more, but every day you keep choosing what's familiar. And that's the problem, isn't it? You don't need someone to tell you you're capable. You already know that. What you need is someone to call out the lie. You've been living, that comfort is your friend. It's the silent killer of greatness. And it doesn't show up screaming. It whispers, it tells you you've done enough. It says you deserve a break. It convinces you that slowing down is self-care, when deep down you know you're not tired, you're uninspired, you're not drained, you're directionless. And the more you feed that loop, the deeper it drags you back. Let me tell you about Michael, not the billionaire, not the celebrity, just a regular guy from Ohio. He was a father, a mechanic, a man who once dreamed of starting his own garage. He used to draw sketches of his dream workshop on scraps of cardboard after work, but day after day, week after week, he told himself it wasn't the right time. He had kids, he had bills, he had a job that paid just enough to survive, but not to live. Every time he got close to starting, the loop of comfort pulled him back. Why risk what you have? So he stayed for years. Until one night, sitting alone in that cold garage, he looked around and realized nothing had changed except the calendar. His hands were older, his body more tired, but the dream still just a drawing in the dark. And here's the truth that crushed him. Comfort had disguised itself as logic. It had worn the mask of responsibility, but it was fear dressed in grown-up clothes. Have you ever felt that? That low hum of regret before the world wakes up. That voice that says you were meant for more, but watches you settle for less. That's the loop, and here's the twist. The longer you stay in it, the more normal it starts to feel, like a warm blanket over a fire slowly going out. And the most dangerous part, the loop rewards you just enough to stay trapped. A little praise here, a little paycheck there. A weekend off to make you forget that Monday always comes back around. But what if I told you that your breakthrough is hiding in the very place you keep avoiding, that it's waiting in the discomfort, in the chaos, in the stretch of doing what scares you? Because growth does not come from repeating what's easy. It comes when you dare to step into the arena, unprepared, unsure, and still swing. The problem isn't that you can't change. The problem is that you've gotten good at managing the pain of staying the same. And if you don't disrupt this loop now, this year becomes last year on repeat. So let me ask you, what has comfort cost you so far? What dreams have you postponed in the name of being realistic? How many times have you told yourself next month while quietly watching the months disappear? How long before someday becomes never? The loop isn't just a rut, it's a ritual, and the only way out is disruption. Radical, intentional, uncomfortable disruption. That means waking up earlier than you want to, saying no to what feels good so you can say yes to what matters. It means walking away from people who validate your excuses. It means breaking your patterns before they become your prison. Because let me be clear, Comfort is not safety, it's seduction. It's the illusion that standing still is better than failing forward, but the cost is too high. You can survive in comfort, but you will never thrive in it. Michael finally did it. He walked away from the loop, took a loan, opened a tiny corner shop, worked 14-hour days. The first year was brutal, the second barely broke even. But in the third, that shop grew. He hired others, built a reputation, built a name, built something real. And the moment that changed everything, when he said, "I'd rather struggle toward my dream than rot inside my doubt." That's the kind of decision that breaks the loop. That's the kind of choice that rewrites legacy. And maybe that's where you are now, staring at a quiet life, whispering for more, afraid to make noise. But here's your wake-up call. Nothing changes until you force it to. Nothing grows until you get uncomfortable enough to plant new roots. Nothing new is born until the old dies. Your patterns, your fears, your excuses. So choose your pain, the discomfort of growth or the slow death of staying the same. One leads to strength, the other leads to stories. You'll tell yourself to justify why you never started. But this right now, this could be your turning point. The place where the loop ends and the climb begins, because the cost of comfort is your calling. And if you're tired of waking up to the same version of your life, it's time to burn the blueprint and build a new one from fire. What if the worst thing that ever happened to you wasn't there to break you, but to build you? What if the pain you've been running from was never the punishment, but the preparation? Nobody likes pain, but pain doesn't care what we like. It shows up anyway, uninvited, unapologetic, and unforgettable. And when it hits, it doesn't knock politely. It kicks the door down. But the truth most people never learn is this pain is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your power. Let me tell you about a guy named Brandon. He was 19 when everything he thought was permanent vanished overnight. His father died suddenly. His scholarship was revoked after a single failed semester. He was broke alone and sleeping in his car behind a strip mall in Baltimore. And for 3 months he didn't try to fight it. He just sank. He told himself life had beaten him, that the universe had chosen someone else, that maybe some people just aren't meant to win. But one night, cold, empty and angry, he sat staring at the ceiling of that car and asked a question that flipped the switch. What if this pain isn't here to bury me, but to build the version of me I've been too scared to become? That single question turned into a promise. He started waking up early, started reading, writing, running, working, whatever job he could get. He swore that his father's death wouldn't be a dead end, but a legacy ignition. Within 2 years, he started a business. Within 5, he bought his mother a house. And today, he mentors kids from the same neighborhoods he almost faded in. So let me ask you, what are you doing with your pain? Are you letting it shape you or shatter you? Are you letting it sit inside you, poison your mind and steal your energy? Or are you turning it into fire? Because here's what they don't tell you. Greatness is born in the places that hurt the most. Not in the applause, not in the spotlight, but in the darkness, in the silence, when you choose to rise anyway. You don't become strong by avoiding pain. You become strong by surviving it, by using it. And if you're in it right now, if you're bleeding inside, if you feel like nobody sees you, good. That means you're in the gym of your soul. That means you're being sharpened, stripped down, prepared for something bigger than you can see. But here's the warning. If you don't use it, it will use you. Unused pain becomes bitterness. Bitterness becomes weakness. Weakness becomes regret. And regret never lets you sleep. So use it. Write with it. Build with it. Lead with it. Let your scars be your strategy. Let the losses become your fuel. Let what was meant to break you make you unforgettable, because the most powerful version of you is not the one who avoided pain. It's the one who turned it into purpose. What do you do when you wake up and feel absolutely nothing? Not passion, not energy, not even pain, just emptiness, like your soul has gone quiet. What do you do when the fire you used to feel inside is just a memory, and even the things you once loved now feel like chores? Do you wait for motivation to return like the weather? Or do you build the fire from scratch by hand in the dark, with nothing but a spark of belief that maybe, just maybe, there's more to your life than this moment? Let me tell you about Sarah. A teacher from Pennsylvania, mid-30s, used to be lit up with purpose, the kind of person who made kids believe they were seen. But after her divorce, after losing her mother, after her dream of opening a community centre collapsed, something inside her dimmed She still showed up, still smiled, but it wasn't real anymore. She'd lie in bed staring at the ceiling, scrolling past posts of people chasing dreams, while she quietly wondered if hers had expired. Until one night, rock bottom didn't feel like pain, it felt like silence. That's when she whispered to herself, if there's nothing left, then there's nothing to lose. And that sentence became her switch. She didn't wait for joy to come back. She created ritual out of nothing. She set her alarm for 4:30 a.m. Not to punish herself, but to meet herself before the world could distract her. She journaled one sentence every morning, even when it hurt to think. She took cold showers to remind herself she was alive. She volunteered once a week, even when she felt numb, because sometimes purpose arrives before the feeling does. She didn't fake the fire, she rebuilt it with small sparks. And here's the truth, you don't find fire by waiting to feel ready. You find it when you force yourself to move through the numbness, like it's fog, and trust that something is still burning beneath the ashes. The most dangerous lie you can believe is that you have to feel good to do good, that your energy has to be high for your actions to matter. The world doesn't respond to how you feel, it responds to what you do. And if you keep waiting for passion to return before you move, you'll be stuck in emotional limbo, while your destiny fades quietly into the background. So let me ask you, what would happen if you moved anyway? If you created rhythm, even when there's no music? What would happen if, like Sarah, you stopped negotiating with your feelings and started choosing discipline over mood? Because something important is coming, something only the next version of you can handle. But you'll never meet her if you stay where the fire went out. So strike the match. Wake up early, move your body, write the page, say yes when you'd rather disappear. Do it with shaky hands, do it without the feeling, because the fire doesn't return to those who wait, it returns to those who work. We chase transformation like it's some sudden lightning strike, but the truth, the hard, unglamorous, beautiful truth, is that real change doesn't come with fireworks. It comes in silence, in sweat, in the repetition that no one sees, and even fewer respect. And that's the problem, isn't it? You crave the results but reject the repetition that creates them. You want the fire without the friction, the body without the discipline, the brand without the boredom. But the secret no one told you is this repetition is not a punishment. It's a portal, the gateway from who you are to who you're becoming. And most people will never walk through it because it's not exciting enough. It's not sexy. It doesn't look good on Instagram. But the ones who win, they fall in love with the monotony. They embrace the repetition, not as a trap, but as a tool. And let me tell you about Jason, a college dropout from Michigan who couldn't speak on stage without shaking, who stuttered so bad during presentations he'd walk off mid-sentence, humiliated, but something inside him said, try again. So he did every morning at 5 a.m. in his mirror, one sentence at a time. One breath at a time, he repeated the same speech 300 times. Not because he liked it, but because he needed to. He trained his voice like an athlete, trains their body, not for applause, but for power. And years later, that same kid who couldn't finish a paragraph without crumbling now speaks to thousands from stages that used to terrify him, because repetition built what fear tried to destroy. So let me ask you, what are you avoiding right now? Because it feels too repetitive, too slow, too dull. Do you realize that what you call boring might be the birthplace of your breakthrough? That greatness doesn't come from what you do. Once it comes from what you do again and again until the world can't ignore it anymore. The danger isn't failure. The danger is abandoning the process that actually works just because it doesn't feel exciting. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your life chasing highs and skipping the only thing that creates mastery, consistency. So here's the warning. If you don't learn to find meaning in the mundane, you'll never reach the mountain, because repetition is the staircase and the climb is built one dull, disciplined, deliberate step at a time. But if you're willing to do it when it's hard, to repeat it when it's thankless, to show up when no one claps, then you won't need motivation. You'll have momentum, and momentum, once earned, becomes a weapon. It crushes resistance, it multiplies effort, and it rewires your identity until one day you wake up and realize you become the very thing you used to only dream about because you kept showing up long after most people stopped. Who are you when everything you counted on disappears, when the plan falls apart, when the people you trusted vanish, when the version of you that used to make sense no longer fits the life you're being forced to walk through? Because there's a moment in every life where adversity doesn't just test you, it transforms you, not with permission, not with comfort, but with the kind of pressure that breaks bones or builds warriors. And that moment is the door to identity shift, but only if you're willing to walk through it. Let me tell you about Daniel, an army vet from Texas, who had his whole life planned out, married at 25, business degree, by 27, mortgage at 30, but life didn't follow the script. One IED in Afghanistan changed everything. One blast, 1 second, and suddenly his legs were gone, his confidence shattered, and the man who once led others into battle couldn't even lead himself out of bed. Without help, he went silent for months, refused therapy, hated the mirror, hated God, hated the pity in people's eyes, until one day he saw his daughter watching him from the hallway, and her eyes weren't judging, they were waiting to see what her father would become. Now that life had rewritten the story, and that moment, that was the real battle, not the war overseas but the war inside, and Daniel made a choice, not to return to who he was but to become someone new, not in spite of the adversity but because of it. You see, adversity is not the interruption, it's the initiation, the moment when the comfortable identity dies and the unshakable one is born. But most people run from this moment. They try to duct tape their old self back together, pretend nothing's changed, but here's the warning. The longer you cling to the old identity, the longer you delay the growth, because every storm is trying to strip away who you're not, so you can meet who you really are underneath it all. Ask yourself, what if the pain you're facing is not rejection but redirection? What if this season you're in isn't punishment but promotion in disguise? What if the breakdown you're trying to avoid is the birthplace of your reinvention? You don't change when life is easy. You don't evolve when everything works. You transform in the pressure, in the confusion, in the sleepless nights when nothing makes sense, and the only thing left is your decision to still rise. This is the turning point, and you feel it, don't you? The edge between collapse and clarity, where your excuses lose their power and your future starts calling you by name. But here's the truth. The new identity doesn't come when it's convenient. It comes when you're done lying to yourself, done waiting for life to feel fair, done pretending you're okay with staying small, and you finally say enough. From this point forward, I'm no longer the person who folds when it gets hard. I'm no longer the person who chases comfort over calling. I'm no longer waiting to be rescued. I am becoming the rescuer, because identity isn't found in success. It's forged in struggle. It's found in the daily choices you make when no one's watching, when it's easier to quit, when the old version of you begs to stay in control. But you don't listen. You move anyway. You rise anyway. You build anyway. And over time, those choices compound not into habits, but into a whole new human. You don't just act different, you are different. And the people who used to know the old you, they won't recognize who you've become. And they're not supposed to, because you didn't survive the fire just to return to who you were. You walked through it to evolve into who you were born to be. So if you're in it now, if the fire's hot, if the walls are caving in, if the identity you've worn no longer fits good, you're closer than you've ever been. Don't run. Don't retreat. Step in. Because the version of you that's waiting on the other side isn't weak, isn't wounded, isn't afraid. That version of you is forged. That version of you is free. That version of you is who the struggle was always trying to reveal. There's a moment in your journey where willpower runs out, where motivation doesn't show up, and all the quotes on your wall feel hollow. So the real question isn't how do you keep going when you're inspired? It's how do you keep going when your mind tells you to stop, when quitting feels easier than continuing, when no one's watching, when no one would blame you for walking away. What holds you together? Then the answer is ritual, not routine, not habit. Ritual, deliberate, sacred internal systems designed to protect your purpose when emotion betrays it. Let me tell you about Megan, a nurse from Chicago, who once battled depression so severe she couldn't get out of bed without shaking, but every night before sleep she forced herself to write down 3 things: what she did right, what she was grateful for, and what she would do tomorrow, no matter how she felt. That was her ritual, not grand, not glamorous, just 3 lines on a notepad. But over time, that small act rewired her brain. She wasn't journaling her success, she was creating it. Rituals are your anchors. They're the agreements you make with your future self, so you don't sabotage it when your present self feels weak. And here's the truth you've got to accept. If you don't build mental systems that lock you in, emotion will talk you out, because the human mind is wired to protect you from discomfort. It will lie to you. It will tell you it's okay to skip, to delay, to rest when it's not earned. But a ritual doesn't ask for permission. It demands performance, that morning affirmation you whisper when the world feels too loud, that non-negotiable walk you take when you'd rather scroll, that alarm you don't snooze. because discipline is louder than your excuses. Those aren't just habits, they're lifelines. And you don't need 100, you need three rituals that no matter what you execute, because the moment you let emotion run your day is the moment your future begins to crumble. Here's the warning: life will throw storms at you. Distractions, tragedy, betrayal. You can't always control the chaos, but you can control your anchor. And if you don't have one, you'll be swept away. Megan's 3-line ritual. It saved her life. Now she leads a mental health program for teens across the state. Her voice is strong. Her days are still hard, but her system never breaks. And maybe that's what you need, not more motivation, not another podcast, just a system, just a fireproof mental contract that says, even when I'm tired, even when I'm heartbroken, I show up, because that's who I am. Now, you don't become unstoppable by chance. You become unstoppable by design. Design your rituals and build your mind. And when the world hits you hard, you won't shatter, you'll rise. What if the future you want is already waiting, but it can't meet you at your current level of hesitation? What if the version of you living the life you dream about, the clarity, the strength, the peace, the power, is standing up ahead with an outstretched hand whispering, hurry up, I've been waiting. Most people are pushing against their past, trying to outrun mistakes, guilt, failure, but the ones who transform their lives don't push. From behind, they're pulled forward by vision, by a future so vivid, so real, they can feel it even when nothing around them looks like it yet. That's what kept Marcus going. 36 years old, recently divorced, couch surfing, eating dollar meals, working a delivery job after losing his business in the 2020 crash. His daughter was 5. He only saw her on weekends, and he felt like a ghost in his own life. But one night, alone, in a rented room, with nothing but a mattress and a notepad, he did something radical. He wrote a letter from the man he hoped to become. Not to himself now, but from the future 10 years ahead. Marcus, I'm proud of you for not folding when everything told you to quit. I'm proud that you showed up, broke but built anyway. That you stayed present with your daughter even when your own heart was shattered. That you didn't settle, didn't numb, didn't disappear. You became me because you refused to stay. You, and that letter became his North Star. Every time he doubted, he read it. Every time he wanted to quit, he reminded himself. He wasn't doing it for now, he was doing it for who he was becoming. You see, pain pulls you down, fear freezes you in place, but vision, it pulls you forward. It gives your suffering structure, it gives your effort context. Without vision, struggle feels like punishment, but with vision, it becomes a proof that you are preparing for something higher. But here's the danger: if you don't define that future, you'll default to the past. The brain is wired to protect, not to propel, and if you let the present dictate your pace, you'll never reach the people, places and purpose that are waiting for you. So ask yourself, what does your future look like in detail? Not in fantasy, but in clarity. What time do you wake up? Who do you lead? How do you speak, walk, work, think? And what would that future version of you tell you to do right now? If you listen closely enough, you'll hear it. The instruction, the next step, the warning, because something important is coming, but it won't wait forever. And if you don't become the person who deserves it, you'll miss it. Your future cannot carry your excuses. It cannot make room for your hesitation. It's built for your evolution, not your comfort, so let it pull you forward, not by pressure, but by promise, not by fear, but by fire, the kind that says, I've wasted enough time. It's my turn now. Let's go. There's a moment quiet, invisible to the world, when your future turns, not with applause, not with lightning, but with a whisper. Decide who you're becoming, not who you were raised to be, not who you've been pretending to be, but who you are becoming. And the most dangerous thing you can do right now is leave that decision up to your circumstances, your emotions, or the people who don't carry your vision. Because here's the truth: no one likes to say out loud, becoming someone new is violent. It requires the death of everything that no longer fits. Every excuse, every old belief, every identity tied to survival but not destiny. And if you don't choose who you're becoming, the world will hand you a costume, a label, a box, and tell you to stay small inside it. But if you want to change your life, truly change it, you don't need a plan. First, you need a decision. Who do you refuse to be any longer? What part of you has expired, but you're still dragging it like a lifeless shadow through the hallway of your days? Are you the version of yourself who starts and stops every goal, the one who lowers their standards every time pressure rises? Or are you the version who keeps promises when no one's watching, who moves without validation, who wakes up and chooses discipline over delay? You don't rise when it's convenient, you rise when it's final. and that means making a decision that cannot be undone by emotion, by failure, by doubt, or by other people's disbelief. Let me tell you about Chris, a construction worker from Philadelphia. His entire life he was told he was average, not broken, but not built for anything bigger. He lived most of his 20s like a ghost work-sleep video games repeat, until one night his brother was in a car accident, ICU, broken ribs, jaw wired shut. And when Chris walked into that hospital room and saw his brother fighting for breath, something cracked open in him. He realized he'd been breathing but not living, and he made a decision. That night, I will not die with this version of me still alive. He quit drinking, started running, read one book a week, wrote down 5 goals on his bathroom mirror. Within 1 year, he lost 70 pounds, launched a podcast, got his GED. Within 2, he became a licensed coach. He didn't do it because he was special. He did it because he decided he was done. And that's what this part is about. Not inspiration, not hype, not another quote. It's about drawing a line and saying that old me does not cross this point. And if you don't make that decision, life will make it for you. You'll keep waking up tired, not from effort, but from existing, without clarity. You'll keep attracting people who feed the identity you're trying to leave behind. And the years will pass quietly, efficiently, until one day you look in the mirror and realize you never actually became anyone. But here's the power no one can take from you. In this moment, you can choose to become someone different. You can speak it into existence, not with words, but with action. You can say, I am the one who shows up anyway. I am the one who honors discomfort. I am the one who doesn't flinch when it gets hard. You can craft a new name for yourself in silence, in sacrifice, in sweat. And the world will catch up later. But here's the warning. This decision is yours alone. No one will make it for you. No one will knock on your door with destiny. You have to meet it in motion. So stand up. Look at your life without filters, without blame, without the soft padding of denial, and ask, who am I becoming? And if the answer doesn't set your soul on fire, change it right now. No delay. Because something is coming, and it's only meant for the version of you bold enough to decide you're already on the way. If this hits something inside you, if you felt even a flicker of recognition while hearing these words, then it means the fire is still in you. It means you haven't given up yet, even if life tried to convince you to, even if you've been hiding behind delays and doubts, even if you've spent too long pretending you're fine while your potential withers in silence, because deep down, you know there's more to your life than surviving the week. Deep down, you know you weren't born just to blend in, just to scroll through dreams you're not living, just to talk about change, but never walk into it. And if that's true, then don't let this be another moment. You nod your head and do nothing. Don't let this message pass through you like a nice thought you forget by morning. Let this be the line in the sand, the decision that breaks the loop, the moment you shift from watching motivation to becoming it. So comment, I will finish, if you're done quitting on yourself. If you're done waiting for permission, if you're done shrinking to fit a life you are meant to outgrow, because nothing changes until you decide you are the one who will rise regardless of the odds, the one who will build even when the foundation is cracked, the one who doesn't fold when pressure shows up but doubles down, breathes deeper and moves anyway. And if you're serious, really serious about stepping into that next chapter, then subscribe right now, because this isn't entertainment. This is transformation. This is for the ones who are tired of being inspired but unchanged, tired of starting over every time things get uncomfortable, tired of breaking promises to themselves while pretending they don't care. Because you do care. You've always cared. And now it's time to back that desire with decision. This is the moment where you stop trying and start becoming aware. You stop browsing through other people's success stories and start writing your own. So subscribe, because your evolution won't happen by accident. It's built day by day, choice by choice, video by video, thought by thought. And this is where it begins, where you show the world, and more importantly, yourself, that you're not just another dreamer who fades when things get hard. You're a builder, a finisher, a force. And if no one told you today, let me tell you, now you are enough, you are capable, and you are not too late. The only thing you've been missing is full commitment. And now you have it, because from this moment forward, we don't stop. Halfway, we don't give half effort. We don't live in maybe. We live in movement. We execute. We elevate and we finish. So take a deep breath. Remember who you're doing this for, and let the next version of you rise up. Now, no more waiting, no more wavering, no more wondering if you're worthy. You are, and the legacy you're building won't be made in one day. It will be built in the 1,000 quiet moments when you refused to give up, when you kept showing up, when you made the hard choice again and again until it became who you are. So repeat after me. I will finish, I will finish, I will finish, and then go prove it, starting right now.